The restaurant was the kind of place where silence cost money. Crystal glasses caught the afternoon sun. White linen tablecloths lay smoother than calm water, and waiters moved like shadows trained never to interrupt wealth. Nathaniel Cross sat alone at the center table, his tailored suit sharper than the knife beside his plate. He was a man the world feared and admired, CEO, billionaire, untouchable. Yet his eyes were empty, fixed on food he hadn't tasted. Outside the restaurant gate, hunger had a different sound. Bare feet shuffled against warm pavement. A little girl, no more than 5, stood, clutching her thin dress with trembling fingers. Her hair was wild, her cheeks hollow, her stomach growling louder than traffic. She had learned early that people like Nathaniel didn't see children like her. Still, something pulled her forward. She slipped past the iron gate. Gasps rippled through the diners as the child approached Nathaniel's table. The waiter froze. Security stiffened. Nathaniel looked up, irritated, until his eyes met hers. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. In a voice barely louder than a whisper, she asked the question that would shatter him forever. "Daddy, can I eat with you?" The word daddy struck his chest like a bullet. Nathaniel's fork fell. His breath caught. The room disappeared. Because 10 years ago, in a hospital that smelled of antiseptic and regret, a woman he once loved had told him she was pregnant, and 10 years ago he had paid her to disappear. He told himself it was business. He told himself it was necessary. Now a starving child stood before him with his eyes. Security stepped forward. "Sir, we'll remove her." "No." Nathaniel's voice cracked the room. "Don't touch her." He stood, slowly knelt in front of her, ignoring the stares of the rich and powerful. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lila," she said, rubbing her stomach. I smelled food. Nathaniel swallowed hard. He pulled out a chair. "Sit, please." The waiter hesitated. "Sir, this establishment—" "I own half the city," Nathaniel said coldly. "Bring her food." When the plate arrived, Lila didn't touch it. She looked at him first. "Is it okay?" That broke him. As she ate like she didn't know when her next meal would come. Nathaniel felt something unfamiliar burn his chest. Shame. For the first time in years, his money felt useless. "Where's your mother?" he asked gently. Lila's smile faded. She went to sleep. A long time ago, Nathaniel understood. And in that moment, he knew the truth he had, buried for a decade, was standing right in front of him. Nathaniel couldn't sleep that night. Lila's face haunted him. The way she asked permission to eat. The way she called him daddy without knowing why it felt right. By morning, he had investigators, searching records he prayed didn't exist, and feared they would. They found them. A birth certificate, a hospital record, a name he never forgot. She was his daughter. Nathaniel Cross, the man who bought everything, fell to his knees in his penthouse office and wept like a child. His wealth had built empires, but his absence had built a grave for a woman he once loved, and nearly destroyed an innocent life. He found Lila sleeping under a bridge. When he knelt beside her, she stirred. "Did I do something bad?" she whispered. "No," he said, voice shaking. "I did." He carried her, not like a burden, but like a miracle he didn't deserve. The media exploded. Headlines screamed. Board members panicked. "This will ruin your image," they warned. Nathaniel looked at Lila coloring at his desk and replied, "Then let it burn." He shut down luxury projects and opened shelters. He built schools. He funded meals. Not for publicity, but because every hungry child now had Lila's face. 1 year later, Nathaniel sat at the same restaurant. This time, Lila sat beside him in a clean dress, swinging her feet. She smiled and said, "Daddy, can we eat together again?" Nathaniel smiled back, tears in his eyes. "Always." And for the first time, the food tasted like something real. 3 weeks had passed since Lila stepped into her new home. Yet every morning she woke up startled, afraid the dream might disappear. The walls were clean and white. Sunlight spilled through the window, and the bed was so soft it scared her. Sometimes she gently bit her hand just to make sure she wasn't back on the street. In the next room stood Nathaniel Cross, the same billionaire the world knew for his power and control. But now sleep no longer lived in his eyes. Regret did. He watched his daughter quietly and asked himself the same question every day. How could I be so rich and still be so poor? Lila started school. On her first morning in her uniform, she stood in front of the mirror and whispered, "Daddy, Am I really allowed to learn? Nathaniel knelt beside her and said, Your name is no longer the street girl, Lila. You are my daughter. But the world doesn't forgive easily. The media attacked. A staged performance. A billionaire's image cleanup. A calculated PR move. During a live interview, the host asked bluntly, Is this child your way of paying for your past mistake? Nathaniel looked straight into the camera for millions to see and replied, Yes, and if fixing it takes my entire life, it still won't be enough. That night, Lila saw him crying for the first time. She walked over quietly, held his hand, and asked the same question that had changed everything. Daddy, can I stay with you? Nathaniel pulled her into his arms, his voice breaking. I'm not going anywhere, ever. Months later, beneath the same bridge where Lila once slept, Nathaniel opened a shelter. He named it Lila's Table, a place where no child would ever go to sleep hungry again. On opening day, Lila stood before the crowd, holding the microphone with both hands and said, If one person can change, then the whole world can change. People cried openly. Nathaniel looked at his daughter and finally understood.